Hello and good evening, beautiful, wonderful people of YouTube. Guess what? We're back. We had a night off yesterday. We actually kind of had a weekend off, sort of, mostly. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining us. If you're new here and you haven't already, please make sure you smash all those magical YouTube buttons for us. Hit that like if you like the stream. Smash that subscribe if you haven't already. Finally, that bell notification icon if you want to be notified every single time we go live or drop a new video. So the last time we streamed on the 40k channel was Friday, and I won't lie, I went live whilst I was very poorly, and lots of people told me I was very silly for doing that, and they might have been right. We lasted an hour before Luce and I then had the worst bug I think we've had in a very, very long time over the course of the weekend. I've got a spare beer here because we didn't even get through it on Friday.
I think the bug of 2016 is nearly on par.
The 16 was probably worse.
I nearly called you a paramedic for that.
Yeah. But we are back. I have leftover booze because we didn't get through it on Friday. I'm going to drink it tonight in celebration because finally, literally today, Luce and I feel okay again. I felt okay yesterday. Luce not 100%. I feel Luce now feels okay today as well. So we've had good night's sleep. We've had full dinners. Everything's back to normal. Thank you for being patient. I'm so sorry yesterday we didn't have the Liam and Joe show, nor did we have our members-only chat game on Tuesday evening. I apologise. It wouldn't have been fair to Joe to bring him into the house whilst it was bug-ridden. It wouldn't have been fair at all. So he would, like, I love Joe, and as we said in Discord, Joe is a national treasure.
We must protect
Joe at all costs, right? So we decided not to go live. We did, however, do some stuff on the gaming channel because I can sit here and there's a toilet over the corridor just in case. So if you want to check out some of our Call of Duty content on our new gaming channel, our second channel, it's more of a hobby channel. It's a fun channel. It's not like a serious one. So don't expect like weekly or daily streams. We're currently doing like one a week. Sometimes we do two a week. Mostly we just do one a week. But you can check that out or !gaming in the chat. Otherwise, if you were prepped to do loads of super chatting and gifting yesterday, just do it all tonight instead, right? So what are we talking about tonight? Talking about tonight an article that came out from Games Workshop either a day or 2 days ago, okay? I was waiting today for a more interesting article, and they didn't drop it till after I'd scheduled the stream. So they did in fact drop an article today that we can cover later. They did drop the rules, or a lot of the rules, for the Lion. Very excited, a model I definitely want to get my hands on, and a unit I definitely want to be using in the future. So we'll go through that. What's interesting when they drop the rules for the Lion is what they've done is they've given us 9th edition rules, which would indicate that the Lion is going to come out before 10th edition. I kind of assumed he would come out as the 10th edition release. No. It looks like we're going to get him earlier. And the reason why I say that is because we've got 9th edition rules for him. Otherwise, why would they bother writing them? That article came out today. It's on the community page. We can look through it together later if you really, really want to. However, what I want to talk about is the article on codexes. Now, we kind of knew this anyway, but we're going to read through the article. We kind of knew that they were going to index. I need to pour this beer before I go to the article. We kind of knew what they were going to do. They've already said they're going to index certain... they're going to index the whole game, basically, and there will be no codexes that will be relevant anymore, right? Now, the problem I have with this now is I was kind of okay with it, right? To be clear, I was kind of okay with it. I was like, you know what? The game sort of needs it. There's a bit of a feels bad for World Eaters and for Death Guard players, but on the whole, I feel like it's probably the right thing to do. And then today they showed us off the Lion's rules, which are 9th edition rules. Now, I can't imagine for a moment that they're going to be kind enough to stick out his data sheet for free for everyone. So at the moment, I'm assuming you'll have to get his rules in a book. So we're about to hit April. We think new edition will be June. We don't know. They're going to release sometime within the next 2 months a book, potentially, with rules in it for the Lion that will then be invalidated.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. D. Lee is awesome X.
Lee is awesome. Thank you, Dave. You're a hero. Sorry for everybody who went to Factor on this weekend and I wasn't there. You wouldn't have appreciated it if I would have turned up. Trust me. Thank you, James, for the vomit face, I think.
Well, you didn't...
Also big shout out to Here for a Good Time. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Shout out to Nordos, who gifted 1 attention seeker. Shout out James Woods for becoming a Jarl. What a hero. Easton gifted another 1. We know he likes attention. I love you, Easton. Drapkin, thank you for gifting 5. You're a legend. Ghastly for gifting 1. Thank you to everybody gifting members. I set an ambitious target for the month. You already hit my corn target, so I set an ambitious one.
We also had the 2016 stomach thing at Christmas. My mum needed a paramedic and I managed an oat biscuit for Christmas dinner.
That was so.
Ours was just before Christmas, maybe?
Oh, Christ. I don't know what time of year, but I was so cross because I'd picked James up from preschool and we were playing trains, the wooden train track thing under the kitchen table, and bless him, he farted. And I was like, oh my God, James, do you need the toilet? And then I looked at him and the colour just drained. And I called preschool to say, I'm ever so sorry, but he has diarrhoea. I've just picked him up, which means you've got diarrhoea in preschool. And they were like, yes, okay, a couple of kids had it this week. I was so mad because it turned out to be norovirus.
Yeah. So, not talking about sharting anymore. But enough of that, quite frankly, over the course of the last week. We're going to talk about this article from Games Workshop. Let me screen share with you beautiful people now. There we go. It looks like this. Warhammer 40k, what does the new game mean for your Codex? Okay, I'm going to read through it. Read with me, chat. Ready? Like an orbital drop pod searing its way through the flak-filled lower atmosphere, the next edition of Warhammer 40,000 is coming in hot. It's still the same great game of epic battles in the grim darkness of the far future, but we're shaking things up a little. No, scratch that. A lot. To be clear, I think the game needs it, right? I think the game is in need of a big shake-up. Warhammer 40,000 has more than a dozen factions and many more sub-factions, all of which makes a rich, deep strategic game. It's fair to say, however, the most recent edition has become unwieldy. The learning curve is steep, and you are often forced to spend too much time flicking through several books looking for the right special rule or stratagem. Pause. Massive kudos for Games Workshop for putting that in an official article. Like, I cannot praise them enough for just flat out saying it, right? It's fair to say the most recent edition has become unwieldy, the learning curve is too steep, and you'll spend too much time flicking through several books. I cannot praise them enough for just flat coming out and saying that. That is amazing. See, you all thought this was going to be a negative stream, didn't you? Come on. All you 280 people already in chat thought I was going to be negative about this. That paragraph, I cannot praise them enough for realising their errors, realising the current state, and just flat saying it. They haven't danced around it. They haven't tried to dress it up too much. They've just gone, look, it's a shit show right now, and we've accepted that. So we're going to reset it. Fair play. Like, as long as they don't purposely make it a shit show every 6 years, so they have to reset it, fair play for them for coming out and saying that. Can't praise them enough for that one. The new edition is designed to address all these points and more, to remove every rule or interaction in which the complexity had become unhelpful. The design studio has taken a long, hard look at the state of the game. The core rules that underpin Warhammer 40,000 are strong.
Lutin implied in his new video he thinks Codex are gone, not coming back. Thoughts? I think that's crazy talk.
This might address that, but I think codexes have already been stated that they will be coming back. So I think that is crazy talk. Thank you for the donation.
Good evening, Liam and Luce. How's your week going?
It's finally good, Ape of Justice, from today.
Yeah, we're going to count today.
Yeah, we're going for an April spring reset, right? We're good. We're good.
Love the bald look.
Oh, thanks, Talk. Love you too. Hope you're doing well, man. There's a couple more people getting... They couldn't wait for me to finish the fucking article. They had to super chat straight away, didn't they?
They're just so lovely.
They're so lovely. They're so needy.
People are waiting for a rant. Have you got a rant?
I hear the GT went really well and the team/player did great.
The TO/player did great. No, Jake didn't play. He did do well, though. Jake did really well running that GT, James. Yeah, I think you were there too, but Jake did really well.
Vashta's rules were released for free as they're not putting model rules in Hieu books. So the Lions should be free as well.
Let's hope, Hungry Bert, but we'll see, right? We will see. We will see.
So Lane McLaren says we're waiting for the rant.
There's no rant at the moment in... I think that's Ian, but I'm not sure.
Is it? Lane or Ian? The thing with capital I's and capital L's sometimes is that they look like each other.
Well, they don't.
I'm very sorry.
They don't, though, because a capital L has a little bottom part.
Ian with I-A-I-N. Have you ever seen Ian spelt like that?
Yes.
I have never seen Ian spelt like that.
Yeah, well, it's not. I don't think it's an L. It's an I.
I'm saying Lane. Liam's saying Ian.
Well, since he capitalised his surname, I'm going to assume he capitalised his forename, right? Which means that's an I.
Oh, yeah, because there's a capital L. I'll get my coat.
Right, okay. Thank you, Luce. Thank you for your input. Okay, let's get back to it. The design studio has taken a long, hard look at the state of the game. The core rules that underpin Warhammer 40,000 are strong, but in their review, they found many opportunities for streamlining the system, fixing rules that didn't quite sit right, and numerous other quality of life changes. Those sticky complexities have now been smoothed out, and without losing any of the game's depth. That's really good. Remember, simplified, not simple. I like that. These much-needed simplifications are substantial enough that, from a rules perspective at least, every 9th edition Codex has been rendered obsolete. I'm aware that some people are super, super upset about the fact that they've just got a World Eaters Codex, and in 2 months' time it's going to be obsolete. So they may have had it for 3 or 4 months. I get it. I do feel for those people. I guess you possibly could go and ask for money back. I don't know. I wouldn't encourage you to. I still think this is a positive move. I get they've just dropped the Codex. I get people will be upset about it. I still think this is a positive move. I think this is a really good move from GW. I think the edition needs it, right? That's not to say they're useless. They're still bristling with the lore, history, and short stories that define each faction, and until new codexes emerge over the course of a new edition, these books will still be the main repository of the knowledge you need. And that's something that I think is worth remembering, right? Codexes typically have not always been just rules. They give you so much more than just rules. In fact, I've gone into old codexes in newer editions just to read narrative and lore. So you still get that, okay? You still get that, which is something at least. Although I do feel sorry. I mean, these codexes, not so much. They've had quite a lot of time, especially Space Marines, but Leagues of Votan, World Eaters, Astra Militarum, I feel a little bit sorry for those people. But again, that paragraph where I praise them for it's so true. And 99% of people, literally 99% of people that I speak to would completely agree with that paragraph. If that meant that I spent £30 on a codex that then was obsolete 3 or 4 months later because they're fixing the whole core mechanic of the game, like, I'm okay with that. I don't think that's a problem for me massively. If I'm honest with you, I really don't think that's an issue. I think I would rather have a fixed game for everyone than my codex in date for another 6 months on top in a broken edition. Make sense? You with me, chat? I feel like this is a good thing, right? The associated packs of data cards are also obsolete. One of the main vectors for streamlining armies has been to heavily reduce the number of stratagems available to each faction.
You missed a cracking weekend at Factorum.
Fuck you, Will. I was upset about that. Don't keep reminding me. But I'm glad you had a good time. Thank you, man. Heavily reduced the number of stratagems available to each faction. Gone are the days of shuffling through 50 cards to find the right ability. Each army now has a list of them included on the double page spread that defines them. Super important. Double page spread all of your army rules. That's really important. You will nevertheless be able to play your chosen army as soon as the new edition lands. We are releasing revamped, restatted and reconsidered datasheets for every single unit in the game, all free to download at launch and ready to go. You'll also be able to buy inexpensive packs of these cards at launch. Inexpensive. What would you consider inexpensive, Luce?
Showing my roots here, what do you mean inexpensive?
Not expensive.
Okay.
Inexpensive. Because I feel like
baked beans.
Claiming it, well, exactly. I feel like claiming inexpensive from GW is a risk because I feel like their version of inexpensive and our version of inexpensive is wildly different. Let's be honest. Are they going to drop all the information you need for your particular faction in card form for a £5? I'd suggest they won't. It would be beautiful if they did. I suggest we're not going to see that. I'm interested to see what they think inexpensive is versus what the community thinks it is.
Still haven't got my pre-ordered World Eater Codex.
Oh, well then just cancel it and ask for a refund. Ultimately, that sucks though, Ben, in New Zealand as well. So you've paid 4 times the price. Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see. Like, this will be a telling time.
If SSM, World Eaters, players aren't used to getting screwed over buying and rebuying their codex, they've not been paying attention.
Mark of Corn. First of all, great name. Second of all, great avatar. Third of all, great super chat value. All perfect. You're right. Right? We're all used to it. But yeah, I think this will be a real interesting test on Games Workshop's grasp on reality. If what they think is inexpensive or we think is an expensive matchup. Now, whatever they drop them at, they could drop them at £2 and someone's probably going to moan about them somewhere, to be clear. But it'll be very interesting.
Codex will just be a list of armies of renown.
Maybe. Pass. I think we're looking at them being a lot like the World Eaters Codex, to be fair. Right. Anyway. So, last couple. Boarding actions, on the other hand, are still going strong. The core rules and arcs of an Abaddon were specifically written to work with a new edition, and the book will remain available for the foreseeable future. All you need to play this tight, intense format of Warhammer 40k is this book. The book that contains your own faction rules and a set of terrain. So you still need 2 books. Okay. Don't forget to check back in Warhammer Community, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now, the reason why I did think this was interesting is simply because today we got, slight tangent chat, get ready for this, the Lions rules. Okay.
You think they're going to keep supporting Tempest of War decks? I hope they do. I like the random secondaries to affect my games.
If they don't continue supporting something like Tempest of War the Milk, I think that's a significant failure on GW's part to recognise a product that is just doing well and is incredibly popular. In a bloated edition that is full of nonsense, as they have addressed, Tempest of War decks have continuously sold out because people just prefer to play them. Okay? They just prefer to play Tempest of War over tournament play typically. So I would be very surprised to see it go away. Maybe it won't be exactly the same, but I would imagine that we will still have a form of Tempest of War or Maelstrom or a combination of the old Maelstrom from 8 and Tempest, and I think that's a positive. So, the reason why I'm positive about the Codex thing on the whole. I do feel bad for certain World Eaters players, especially people who are in New Zealand who are telling me they haven't got their World Eaters Codex yet. Like, I do feel quite bad for you. Just going to take my socks off because I'm actually a bit warm. Get ready for the smell, Liz. And it's feet for a change after the last week. Right? So, there we go. So, I do feel for those people, but I think that on the whole, this is a positive move. And I was really positive about it on the whole. And I read that paragraph that I focused on a minute ago, right? And I was super like, oh God, this is such... like, we've always asked for communication from you, and something that I'm always keen on, and we've always done on the channel, and that is just being honest. And it was one of the most honest paragraphs I've read from them in a very long time. So kudos, again, positive move. Then this came out today. So I decided to do the stream when I was like, it's a positive stream, right? You were waiting for the rant. Here it comes. So it's positive stream up until this point, okay? Then they dropped this shit. I say shit. I'm not saying the rules are shit, nor am I saying the article's shit. In fact, I'm incredibly excited for the Lion. I am one of those people who thinks he will probably be starting a new Dark Angels army, one that I haven't had for years and years and years, simply because of this one model, because I just think he's absolutely fucking gorgeous. I think he's so good as a model. And the rules came out. We know 10th edition's coming. I literally, when this popped, had just read the Codex article. I'd read the paragraph on the fact that everything was nonsense and they're fixing it all. I read the thing on we're making all the codexes and all the data cards obsolete, and they dropped this. If you're one of the few people who didn't hear the internet exploding over the momentous return of Lion L. Johnson to the 41st millennium, then congratulations. You get to gaze over this glorious model for the first time. Also, by the way, I was so fucking happy last Thursday for a number of reasons. The 10th edition announcements all sounded amazing. None of the Age of Sigmar fear-mongering that had been going on that Joe and I had been talking about seemed to be true. Everything seemed great. And the most important thing for me, I got to see the Lion for the first time during the Adepticon reveals. I hadn't had it spoiled. It wasn't a shit potato picture all over a Facebook group. Someone hadn't leaked it on Instagram. It wasn't shared on Twitter. It wasn't all over Reddit. Actually saw the reveal for the Lion in the reveal trailer. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, when was the last time we actually managed to have that in 40k? That was exciting. I'm not saying boycott everyone who leaks. In fact, I do say that quite often, and I think you should, because it was little boy me again, so excited for a new release that they actually got to show me properly. So thank God GW managed to keep that one under wraps on the whole, and nobody had actually seen the model until that Adepticon release. That was exciting. Love that. Anyway. Here he is, this stunning piece of plastic, which is going to probably hook me into a Loyalist Space Marine Legion for the first time in a very, very, very long time. It's enough to warm the hard heart of even the dourest Unforgiven. Despite a 10,000-year convalescence, the Lion is raring to get back to his favourite hobby, killing traitors. Any cobwebs he might have had from his slumber have been well and truly shaken off if the stats on his data sheet are anything to go by. Lionel Johnson, stats. We look at that. It's pretty Gullyman, okay? It's not too dissimilar. He has more attacks than Gullyman, 8-inch move, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+, strength and toughness 6, wounds 9, so he can be character blocked, we can assume, attacks 10, that's a big deal, leadership 11, 2-up armor save. I mean, he's a Primarch. He's very Gullyman, okay? The one thing that concerns me, because he's very Gullyman, is that he might end up being a monster like Gullyman and not infantry, and that would be a problem because then he doesn't get in a circle.
10th will hopefully be as epic as a demon prince landing on a storm raven and killing it. Epic move of the weekend.
Will, stop telling me about the weekend. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Liam, not only are we new Soul Blight buddies, but we are also going to be Lion buddies. My DAs will be painted up like Lannisters for Charles Dance.
Oh, I love that. I love that. See, we're just linked, Liberty Fires, even though we're separated by an ocean. Thanks for the donation on your hero.
Capped at 3, 2x8B and 1x exalted.
Yes. That seems to be... If your elites are capped at 3, that's probably where I would go. I'd probably go 2 5-man units, 8-man, 1 3-man unit exalted. Yes. Beautiful.
I cancelled my World Eater's army order, had enough of waiting, going for Iron Warriors. Hopefully we'll have fun with them.
Well, the other thing as well is you can forget everything you know about rules currently with the current codexes. So Iron Warriors aren't the best at the moment, but you can forget it all. It doesn't matter because it's all getting reset. Literally now is the time to start an army for Rule of Cool, and no one can call you a cheesemonger because 10th edition is coming, right? So I wanted Dark Angels forever. I couldn't do them in 9th edition because their army rules were broken. I won't field them in 9th edition. I basically refuse to field them in 9th edition, despite the fact that I'm looking to put together a Dark Angels army at some point in the near future if I can afford to. However, that's going to have to be a 10th edition army because I won't play them in the current rules. But yeah, anyway, very much a Gullyman profile. Definitely a 40k, obviously Primarch. I'm concerned he has Monster. That means Inner Circle won't work. Right. Actually, while most of his characteristics mirror those of his brother Rabute Gulliman, the Lion Sword arm is a good bit quicker with a staggering 10 attacks. That would already be enough to put his noble sibling onto the back foot, but his massive sword fealty only enhances his capacity for mass butchery. Fealty. Each time attack is made with this weapon, select one of the profiles below to make that attack with. Okay, sweep is mental. 20 attacks at strength 6, AP -3 and 2 damage. And if you think about it, he might still currently, because this is 9th edition rules, have Shock Assault. That would be 22 attacks at strength 6, -3, 2 damage. Strike +4, strength 10, -5, 4 damage at 11 attacks. They say that'll put Gulliman on the back feet, but Gulliman's got a 3-up invulnerable save and gets back up. So he probably doesn't care. Anyway. Safety is numbers. Safety in numbers is clearly not a concept the Lion cares for. I do like the fact that he can just go in and obliterate units of Space Marines, by the way. While Gulliman's forte lies in matters of command and administration, a task he accomplishes with aplomb, Lionel Johnson was ever a warrior, hunter and killer first and foremost. Now awakened into the galaxy of darkness and insanity, he strides between the stars on a mission of vengeance. Long before his return reached the ears of the wider galaxy, the Lion's legend had begun to spread from planet to planet, disconnected worlds united by a mysterious figure who stalked from mist-wreathed passageways to cut down fearsome monsters like chaff. Some knew him as the Cowled Giant or the Unforgiving Knight, or even as the Emperor Incarnate, and his arrival was always heralded by an apparition of ancient forests fading from the aether. Sounds like you're listening to Titan Shorts right now, doesn't it? The true nature of this empiric travel is known only to the Primarch himself, but as he lay slumbering beneath the rock, his dreams often returned to the forests of his youth. Could he be born by the ghosts of the same, or I can't say this word, arboreal, there we go, realm, slain in the destruction of Caliban? He's certainly not telling. But the practical applications of this ability to appear as if from nowhere aren't lost on him. He has this ability called Forest Walk, which I think is super cool. During deployment, you can set up this model on shadowed paths instead of setting it up on the battlefield. If you do so, then during the reinforcement step of one of your movement phases, you can set this model up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than... He can deep strike, and he gets to reroll charges. Super tasty, kind of narrative, quite like it. What marks him out as a warrior of truly singular provenance isn't even his sword, but rather the Emperor's shield. Now, I was expecting something big from this chat. Get ready. This Oromite Aegis was once wielded by the Emperor himself, and aside from its indomitable protective powers, it reflects the force of incoming attacks right back at his foe with a sonorous boom. I got super excited. Like, Gulliman's got a 3-up invulnerable save and gets back up. How cool is this going to be? The model has a 4+ invulnerable save. Okay. So there's lots. Each time a saving throw is made for this model against a melee attack, on an unmodified roll of a 6, the attacking model's unit suffers 1 mortal wound after all the models in it have finished making it to a maximum of 3. So if you save 10 times, you roll 10 dice, and for each unmodified 6, you do a mortal wound back to a maximum of 3. That's kind of meh. I'm kind of not... If that's the Emperor's shield, no wonder he got bitch slapped by Horus. Right? No wonder Horus just fingered him. Now, if we can assume that he is monster and therefore doesn't get inner circle, what that also means is Abaddon of the Black Legion, rules-wise at least, will still walk up to the lion and throw him across the fucking table. One question that a lot of you have is how to get hold of this incredible model. The Warhammer community interrogator chaplains have been able to extract an answer to that. The lion will be available for the first time alongside a retinue of 3 Blade Guard veterans and 2 pieces of special edition artwork, one a duel with Angron and the other a heroic pose. If you don't manage to get him in this box, don't worry, he'll be out on his own soon enough, just like the foul Xenos commanders of the Orcs and Tau when they break out their boarding patrol boxes. So he's coming in this box, right?
Love the lion, but so looking forward to Russ.
If Russ comes back, I think I'll just play Space Wolves and Dark Angels forevermore, to be honest with you. That would just be me. Forever talk. Many more questions around the how was he discovered? So there's a new book coming, super cool, right? There we go. So finally, we've finished reading the articles, team. Thank you so much for being patient with me. What's interesting? There's a couple of interesting points here, right? Firstly, I think his rules are a bit bonk. So he's got a load of attacks, doesn't seem to have, currently at least, any way of ignoring damage caps, any way of ignoring invulnerables, any way of ignoring feel no pains. So certain creatures are still going to stick the middle finger up to him and go, Gaz goes, cool, you do 4 damage at a time, I can only take 4 wounds a phase, and then I'm going to squish you.
I thought the shield was at least going to give mortal wound protection. Maybe the Watchers in the Dark will do something there.
Maybe. And the moment what they've shown me, I'm still hyped for him because I'm not basing it on rules. I'm not basing it on rules simply because 10th is coming and we can assume they're going to change a little bit, okay? Which is incredible, right? So I'm not actually that bothered by the rules. But when you compare him even to Angron, I feel like he's just a bit kind of, all right, he's okay, I guess. I don't know. Actually, maybe he's comparable with Angron. I actually think Gulliman is still a better Primarch overall than the Lion rules-wise from what we've seen. Conscious that we've not seen the whole data sheet. We've seen the shield. He can deep strike in his sword with his stats. He might have loads more rules, right? This isn't going to be everything that he's got. However, it is a data sheet for the Lion, which is interesting, right? It is a data sheet for the Lion, which is interesting. And it's interesting because I have to assume at the moment they're going to bring it out in a book. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they Vashtor it. Maybe they release the rules for free. If they do that, again, kudos to GW. Fair play. People can use him before 10th, but the rules are free. And then we move into 10th and he'll have his free rules in 10th edition. Free rules is a good way to go, by the way. I think I'm really positive about that. So the codexes thing, you all thought I was going to be completely negative about you losing your codex. No. That paragraph, I want to take that paragraph. I want to screenshot it. I want to print it.
4+ Invul is worse than a Space Wolves character Arjak. Arjak better than the Emperor. Stories.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, right? It's better. Gulliman's is better. He gives him a 3-up and vulnerable 7. He gets back up. I would take a 3-up and get back up over a 4-up and a 6 mortal, maximum 3 mortal wounds on an unmod for all of the 6 after. Like, this is the other thing as well, right? They say in an article, we've identified an issue with rules complexity in 9th edition, so we're resetting everything. And here's his shield. For every successful save, you roll another dice, and on an unmodified roll of a 6, your opponent takes a mortal wound to a maximum of 3. Like, you've just talked about your bullshit rules, and then you've written a bullshit rule. I mean, anyway. Fair play for them. Fair play to them for saying that they've mucked it all up and they're going to reset it. I'm super positive about it. For those of you that have got recent codexes, I am sorry for you people. But what do you guys think? The big question I want to ask chat tonight, the big question I want to ask all 450 of you in chat tonight, currently, right? 185 likes, though. Come on, sort it out. The big question I want to ask you people, are you happy about this indexing? We talked loads before the announcement of 10th edition as to whether they should or shouldn't index. And I quite often said, I don't know if they should index because it feels bad for people that have just got their codexes. But what do you guys think? Are you happy or are you not? Please make sure you let me know now in chat. If chat starts moving, you're going to have to...
Crying face. Crying face, ginger biscuit fell in my brew when dipping.
Thanks for the update, Gaz. That's what I want to know. If chat does start moving fast, letting me know the information, then please make sure you stick it on a big colourful postcard. You guys are amazing. There's, like I said, 450 people in chat, right? If every single one of you gifts a single membership, think of the amount of people we'll have in chat then. Actually, when people gift, did you know, this is interesting, when people gift like 10 or above members on chat, I always see the concurrent viewers go up. It's weird. It's almost like the algorithm pushes it to more people. Live.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Either that or a load of people get gifted and go, oh, I'm going to go see what's going on.
Well, do you remember ages ago, Asbo said he was thinking of quitting smoking, and he said,
For some reason I am thinking of the unremembered Empire and wondering if they will bring back an insane Vulcan. Lol.
I'm a person who, even if they've already been officially dead, I want to see all the Primarchs back now. All of them. Bring them all back.
I think it meant that the save is a 6, not to roll another dice. Also that needs to not be capped at 3 megawatts.
So what we're saying, Mandy, is it's not clear already, and it's not even been released.
I just started couldn't care about the Codex.
Good man. Oh, that's the right choice. Big shout out, by the way, by Taxopari Federia. I'm not sure if that's the right name. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for becoming a member. Rimney gifted 10 as well. You're an absolute legend. Lewis, I don't know if I caught you earlier. You became a member too at Skull Tier. Thank you so much, people. It really, really, really helps us. It massively supports the channel. All the memberships are super important to us nowadays. This is literally the only way we now generate revenue. So thank you so much. You're amazing. Slam Sector then came in, gifted another 10 as well. Legend, right? Legend. You're all amazing people. Thank you so much. Right? Well, he gifted 10. I think only 3 have been hoovered at the moment, oddly. If you've not turned on accepted gifted memberships, make sure you do it now, right? Make sure you do it now.
anyway.
Yes.
So Asbo quit smoking 6 months ago.
I know.
He is up to £2,622.04 that he saved because he's still quit.
A storm shield is better. It seems Emperor's shield doesn't give +1 to normal save, and yes, I am happy with indexes.
Should we go shopping to the sum of £2,622?
If you've got that money.
Asbo
I'm
has.
still happy about index cards. I really want them.
Yeah. So it looks like a lot of you are quite happy about it. Totally fine with it. You can't fix bloated rules without getting rid of the existing bloated rules, says Boris. I agree with you, mate. I've been playing again for 2 years. I bought the Codex when it came out and too intimidated to play.
Ferris Mananet had naught.
Too intimidated to play. Again, I think the indexing and simplifying is a brilliant idea. Happy for 10th. Let's wait what his stats will be then. I'm hoping he's a beast in 10th, right? It's a way to make them beasts.
Currently building an army for 10th, but worried that changes to special weapons in units or unit sizes will invalidate what I'm building. Thoughts on the effect of simplifying unit datasheets on people's already built units?
We'll get to that.
Not ecstatic about wasting money on my guard codex, but I'll take it if it means I can play my ad mech again without crying.
Give a little, take a little, sticky monkey, right? Absolutely, or stick monkey, yeah. I mean, that's accurate. Give a bit, take a bit.
Indexes, is this the card?
No.
Indexing after 2 editions is not a good look, softened by being free online, but really if you are going to do indexing again, they should change the whole paradigm of codexes / rules to be online sub-based living rule set via the app / army builder.
Yeah, they probably should, John. I think it's not a good look because it's only after 6 years, but I think it's really positive that they've recognised there's a problem and they're going to try and actively fix it now rather than leaning into the bloat. So I'm with you, but I do think that for the first time we've actually seen them actively go, hey, we've completely fucked the rules, we're going to reset it. So although, and I appreciate that honesty from them at least, right? So I'm okay with that one. In terms of invalidating units with datasheet changing, Brennan, this is a tough one. They're going to win and lose some here, right? And I don't think they're going to win all of these battles. I feel bad for people that get invalidated units, but arguably you could buy a second unit and then maybe make enough to make 2 units that are both validated, I guess.
If 10th toughness changes make my demon Primarch feel like a real monster instead of the world's deadliest wet paper bag, I'm happy.
Exactly. So in that regards, I get it, but I feel like, I mean, if you look at everything else that's currently happened.
Follow on from last one ran out of characters. This whole cards for your army isn't going to work when they have to go a rebalance stuff, which they will still have to do.
Well, I actually like the cards for your army, and if they're super cheap,
Indexes are only point all factions are balanced.
Indexes are the only point all factions are balanced. To a point, even then there's still a touch of imbalance.
What's
but
an
then,
index?
Then there's this focus on perfect balance between everything.
Also agreed. Bring back all the Primarchs.
Bring back all the Primarchs, yeah. We'll just get through hampers and it might calm down for a second. There's also this thing where I want them to just stop hunting for perfect balance because it doesn't need to happen in 40k. It doesn't need to happen.
I am cool with what they are doing. 10th is looking good, so I can take losing my codexes. I am happy if the game is going to be better. Going to Factorum in May, your narrative event, so much fun.
Thanks, man, thanks.
Aww.
Indexing, okay, I'll explain indexing for you. So in between editions of 40k, what happens is there's a rules gap typically. So in 8th edition, you had your Codex come out, which is your army book, right? So you've got your army book that tells you your rules. Then 9th edition comes, a new core edition of the game, and they change bits. They don't change it massively. The core is very similar, apart from some mechanics change and some interactions change. And so some codexes, so Astra Militarum, for example, Guard, who got their codex quite early on in 8th, didn't get their codex until a few months ago. So they were using an 8th edition codex during 9th edition. Okay. Which it still worked, and there was a couple of little FAQs that Games Workshop printed on a little PDF and went, here's a couple of little tweaks and changes.
Right.
But ultimately they're operating on an old codex. And with what we know as power creep, as codexes are released for armies in the new edition, GW have typically and historically scaled armies up to make them slightly more powerful than before.
The cards are a good idea. If they aren't too expensive, you can add sticky notes on them for any changes that come later, or laminate them and use a dry erase marker.
Well, I'll get to all these. So, thank you, Mandy. So if you think about a codex that then goes through almost a whole edition without being updated, it's typically just fighting more powerful codexes. Why do they update the codex and make them more powerful? Well, they need to make it look like it's an improvement, and they want to sell it again. They want to sell the new one to you with the new rules, okay? Now, indexing, as we know it, is something that I think we first properly saw them do in 8th edition, where they went end of 7th, the rules are a fucking mess, everything's a nightmare. We can't keep trying to tweak this edition now, we've gone too far.
Right.
So we're going to completely redo the core rules. And so they released 5 indexes that had every single army's rules in them.
Oh, okay.
So if you bought those 5 books, you had rules for every single army.
Okay.
And it gives you a baseline, a new standard. So 8th edition, the standard was reset, and the standard has creeped up and up and up and up and up, and power and complexity have creeped up and up and up.
Again.
And lethality and complexity have creeped up and up and up. And they've got to now and gone, we've gone too far. This is too messy. It's too complicated. Like we've been saying for literally years, it's too complicated. It's too messy. It's a nightmare. How do we bring it back down? Well, you can't go down and down and down and down again. It's going to be too messy. And then the ones that are already up there, there's too much. Okay, we'll just reset it. So indexing is essentially a hard reset.
Good news, quit vaping a month ago, but I'm still at a very low point and still crazy.
We're all crazy talk. But quitting vaping's good though. It's like a lot of people, I've stopped smoking, I've started vaping. I'm like, and what does that do to your body?
Yeah, apparently we
So good, man.
don't know. So the people who are smoking, people who are vaping now, it's those people that they'll need the data from in like 20 years.
If we go back to John's point about the cards, however, right? If the cards are cheap, if they tell me that all the cards I need for my whole army are a £5 or 10 quid, and then every 3 months they're gonna update them as part of the balanced data slate, which I personally still think is too frequent. I would do it every 6 months. And when they do that, they're going to release new cards for another 5 or 10 quid. Cool, I just buy the new cards, John. Thanks, Thomas, for the donation. You're a legend. So I don't see that as a problem. If they drop the cards in there 30 quid, and every 6 months or every 3 months I have to spend 30 quid to get new cards, I'd be a bit more pissed off. Okay? So there's I still think on the whole indexing is the right way to do it. I think bringing out army unit cards and stuff like they have in Age of Sigmar is the right way of doing it. We've been asking for it for ages. We've talked about filofax systems, and we've talked about folders where you can clip your rules in so you only take the ones you want. The fact that I now know that I can spend an inexpensive amount of money
Yeah, baked beans.
on you Games Workshop, this one, an inexpensive amount of money, and I can buy my cards, and I can have my army rules on 2 pages. So with my World Eaters, where I think I have 7 data sheets, I take 7 cards and 2 pages, and that's all I need for my army to play, apart from the rule book. I don't know if I've ever played 40k in that state. That would give me a massive boner.
Can you use an old codex with updated FAQs and play a GT?
It depends.
So say if like you're one edition out.
Well, it depends. If your codex has been superseded by a new one, then no, you can't. You have to buy the new codex. You have to use the latest version of your army's rules.
Okay.
So if you have a codex from 8th edition now...
Also, didn't they mention recently until new codexes are released today? So much for balance.
Yeah, they have said they're going to be releasing codexes, but they also stated codexes will be exactly like for like as well. Exactly like for like. So for example, Astra Natan, we'll talk about the Guard because we just spoke about Guard. If you turned up to an event now with an 8th edition Guard codex, I would say you can't use that. It's the wrong one. There is a new one. You have to use a new one. If, however, because it's been superseded, if, however, you're Brom and you turn up with the 8th edition Ultramarine supplement, that hasn't yet been superseded. So he could use it. You asked the question. Oh my God, me.
I don't... What's the point in the FAQs exactly? Why...
The voting box were the first models I bought at all. I see the necessity to balance the game. But 2 huge changes to the codex in short succession and the new edition now is a bit much.
How often do codexes
Instead of indexes, just give everyone their new codex from day one. Haven't they been working on 10th for the last 2 years plus?
I know about... how long do I know about them been working on 10th? I've probably known about it for about 18 months. As in that they were thinking about working on it. That's about everything I'm allowed to say. But... right.
How often do codexes get supplemented?
What do you mean supplemented?
I'm so excited for the $100 limited edition index that will be resold on eBay for $1,000 because they didn't make enough.
We're all excited for that. They announced today the limited edition new Lion book, the new narrative about what's going on with him, and I want one. I really want one. But you can guarantee that they will be sold out like that. My webpage won't load when it does go live, and I won't get hold of one, and they'll be on eBay for about 10 million quid. So what do you mean by supplementing a codex?
So you just used Brom as an example, that if he had the 8th edition codex, he couldn't. But if he had... Did I use the right word? Did you say supplement?
He has a supplement for a codex, which is called the Ultramarine supplement.
So how often does that happen with an army? That they supplement.
Most armies don't have supplements. It's typically only Space Marines that have any supplements at all, and that's to give you individual chapter-based flavour.
Right. So what if he had the supplement of 8th and then FAQs of 9th?
What do you mean FAQs of 9th? I feel like you're asking questions of something you just don't understand right now.
Somebody mentioned in here, if they use an old codex but take FAQs that... I kind of get the impression if they took FAQs that brought their old codex
so an FAQ,
up to date,
a frequently asked
no.
So a frequently asked question, a FAQ document is relevant to a specific document. So if there's an FAQ for the Space Marine Codex now, that's not relevant for the 8th edition Codex because it's an FAQ for the 9th edition Codex.
I feel like FAQs should be... If it's an FAQ, then your first try at the rulebook isn't good enough because if it's asked frequently enough to become an FAQ.
There's a lot of FAQs that do exist because their rules writers seem to... I think they write rules on Word and then they use copy and paste to just jumble them all up and then they print them. And then the reason why it's an FAQ is because enough people have gone, what the fuck does that mean? Basically.
So then how is it allowed to be printed if enough...
That's a whole other rant, Luce. We don't have time for that tonight.
We just don't have the time.
That's a whole other rant. We're being happy.
Hope for future codex is a pack with a book that has all the standard art, lore, etc. plus a set of all the cards with army and unit data.
So that's where I would like to go with it, Morty Hammer. Right? If you buy a new codex, I would like it to have narrative, artwork, here's some things, painting guides, extra stuff in it that's never going to change through FAQs, maybe even little rules tweaks. Like if you look at AOS, they've got things like, what are they called? They're not called formations, they're called something else. But those sorts of things that will never change. And then they also just give you the cards. We've said this so many times before. There's so many like I don't know why they don't have me on a retainer. There's so many things that I've said, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. And GW have come out and gone, hey, in 10th edition, we're doing all these things. I was like, where's my fucking commission? Like, I literally told you to do all of these things. All of them. Change morale. They're changing morale. Like, put things on cards so people don't have to take a whole book with them and flip through the pages. They're putting things on cards. I still think they should focus on, they should have a more digital, a digi-centric sort of focus rule set at the moment. I think that's something that they should be doing. And I'm hoping they are kind of doing that. And I'm hoping they're either updating, changing, or releasing a new app that improves that whole experience, because the current app experience is fucking dreadful. And I think that it could be much, much better. And let's face it, if we're honest, if we're all honest with each other, Battlescribe is a pretty shit app, but it's free and it gives you all the rules and it's relatively easy to navigate. It's not the cleanest and most tidy UI. It's not necessarily the easiest to understand when you first use it. It's definitely not the prettiest out there, but we all use it. It's free. It gives us everything we need, right? Imagine if it was even quicker and easier to navigate to the parts that you wanted. The UI was significantly more pretty and tarted up in the typical Games Workshop fashion, because they're pretty good at tarting things up. We're all going to jump to that app. I would. I certainly would. Right? Liam, they gave you your commission. You got some free models. I did. You're right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Okay, I'll take it. Fair enough.
I have another FAQ question.
About in the chat.
Would playtesting sort out most of those FAQs?
So this is...
If all the playtesters had the same questions, surely that would then, you could then go back and say, we're all having the same questions. It's not clear enough.
So the shit answer is yes and no. Okay. So when we play tested, there were a number of things where we would read it and be like, has this been translated from Dutch? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And so we'd be able to go back to the rules writer and be like, what the hell is this? And he'd be like, why is it not clear? And we'd explain it. One of two things would happen. They'd tweak the rule and change the way it's worded so it's more clear, or they'd explain it to us and we go, oh. But then we're going, well, hang on though, if we've asked it.
Because it's a pyramid scheme loose, and we're all a bunch of chumps in a fin-dom relationship with Captain GW, who hates us and we love that he hates us.
Fin-dom relationship. True. So we're like, well, hang on, if we've asked the question, surely other people will ask the question. But I tell you what, right? There is. I'll show you the greatest FAQ of all time, though. This is how bad it is. Like, sometimes they just put things out for the sake of putting things out.
So
okay?
nobody's playtested 10th?
I haven't, and I was a playtester. I can't say that nobody's playtested 10th. Obviously, internally, they would have definitely playtested 10th.
Yeah.
Externally, who knows? Genuinely. So the most embarrassing FAQ, or almost of all time, was Codex World Eaters. And I will show you people Codex World Eaters right now. This is an FAQ that Games Workshop released. And this is where they didn't need an FAQ. This was an FAQ for the sake of sticking out an FAQ. This is an FAQ for the sake of just making a document that we didn't need. This is typical GW at times, okay? Codex World Eaters, version 1.0, FAQ, one question, one answer. And the question is, can I replace a named character's warlord trait with one of those presented in this book as per the description of warlord traits on page 44? You've never been able to replace a named character's warlord trait for reference. It's never been a thing you could do. Never been able to. So someone's asked the question anyway. There's no way this is a frequently asked question.
Right.
So by definition, frequently asked question you would assume is a question asked a lot.
Left you something in general chat and Discord.
I'll check that in a bit, Mandy. Thank you. So by definition, an asked question. Well, okay, I believe this was an asked question. Was this frequently asked? I can't believe it was.
What's the bar for frequent? 100 times?
Well,
1,000 times?
I cannot imagine that a lot of people have asked this question, because we all know that if you have a designated warlord trait.
But do we all know?
It's part of the rules.
I didn't know.
If you have a designated warlord trait, you can't trade it. And so the answer, no. Named characters' warlord traits can never be replaced. We all knew that. There was no need for this. No need. At all. Am I going to be worried about what you've left us in general chat, Mandy, right now?
Upslide says, are you playing music or am I haunted?
Mandy, that's so true. You're not haunted. That is in fact music. That is music by a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, in fact, called Mr. Vinny Camilleri. He has this music's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, it's on all your music places. If you search for Vinny Camilleri, I've linked it. It's linked in the video description below at the bottom as well. He allows me to use it as background music for my streams, and it's just great, cool background music. It's very Nordic themed, very Viking-esque. Okay, so you can go check that out. If I were a Night Lord, we're back on that, I would work for GW in order to get the morale phase changed. Well, they're changing the morale phase, though. That's exactly what they're doing. They're actually changing the morale phase, thankfully, right? That World Eaters FAQ was purely players being either genuinely thick or literally trying to cheat and being caught out. I don't even think it was a frequently asked question. I think they got one question written. Oh, I'm going to make a document now, aren't we?
I did look at that whole bit of paper and think, what a waste of paper.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it looks like on the whole, actually, some people are kind of like, they could get this wrong again. And an indexing at this point is too soon. I understand people thinking that an indexing right now is too soon. But I get, like, John, if you're still out there, calling it a bad look. Indexing this soon after a major edition change is arguably a bad look for GW. But that one paragraph, I'm going to keep going back to it. I don't know how frequently I've seen them say, hey, hands up, team. We ballsed it right up. This is overly complicated. Hey, you know what? It's everything all the influencers have been saying it is for the last year or so, right? They've said it's overly complicated, that there's too high a barrier to entry, it's too complex, it's not easy enough to learn. Everything they've been saying, guess what? They were all right. And we're accepting that they're all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to hard reset it. I think that's a positive from them. Like, I really cannot hammer them for this because I think it's a really, really good move by GW. I hope the Lions rules are free, because if they sell his rules and then index it, that's a whole other stream. I'm so glad I bought my World Eaters Codex for it to expire in 2 months. And that is the few sucky moments. World Eaters Guard specifically are the few sucky moments, and I get it, right?
Do you not take your codexes back for refunds if they're then out of date?
I mean,
like,
I'd
consumer rights and stuff.
I'd assume there's a consumer rights thing around codexes. What they are exactly, I don't know, but I would assume there's consumer rights around codexes and stuff like that, because I think that when the Votan book was released and was instantly invalidated, like they released it on preview and then nerfed it before it went on general sale. Like they FAQ'd it before it went on general sale. How can it be FAQ'd? It's not on general sale. But they FAQ'd it before it went on general sale, right? They errated it, I should say. They errated it before it went on general sale. And there were people, legitimately, who sent their boxes back and went, I don't want it. It's validated. Give me my money back.
Right, yeah.
And I believe they did refund them as well.
Good. Well, yeah, that's their consumer rights. So.
What's the fastest the codex has been invalidated? My vote is Eldar with the Autark mess up. I know. I still think Votan, John. Votan were invalidated, like I said. So Votan pre-order on the Saturday, invalidated on the Wednesday, I believe, and then out for general sale on the next Saturday. At least the Autark data sheet came out like 2 weeks after the codex got dropped. I feel like.
I'm being called a sweet summer child.
Here. I tell you what we have got. We've got 200 people in chat right now who haven't hit that like button.
In other games, indexing is standard.
Yeah, I mean, but in other games, doesn't the edition last longer though, Smarvin? Is that not right? We've got 200 people being lazy, Luce, not hitting that like button.
Well,
it's free.
I've just been number 259, so...
You hadn't hit it either.
I didn't even hit it until 259.
Sometimes I think you're just not a team player.
I'm not.
Quite frankly. GW should give a voucher for the new cards to the Guard and World Eaters Codex buyers. I mean, that would be a supremely nice and generous gesture. I don't see them doing it, but that would be a supremely nice and generous gesture. Also, if every single one of the 458 people in chat gifted a membership right now, our membership numbers are...
You're so beggy.
I wonder how much the reset and barrier to entry is because a certain handsome man named Henry decided to do a TV show or two. No shade, of course.
I see. This is the other thing. Maybe they are thinking outside the box here. Okay, maybe they're thinking outside the box. There is a possibility with the announcement with Amazon that happened towards the end of last year in December, and the potential new TV series or films or whatever that they're doing with Mr. the Carvel. There is a potential that they're looking at this potentially pushing. There is a potential to look at it's terrible English. There is a possibility that they're looking at this as potentially becoming a more mainstream recognized hobby.
The amount of Codex/army books/battle tomes that GW have written over the decades, they should have it down to a science. That they don't says a lot.
Either that or they rush them so much they don't actually refine the process, Ben. But yeah, I get what you're saying. So there is a potential that this could turn into something slightly more mainstream. Now, I'll never actually call it mainstream because I don't think it will ever actually be properly mainstream necessarily. But if you have someone like him championing it and it's on something like Amazon, if you do those things, there is a potential that your customer base goes from this to this, right? And so if your customer base or your potential customer base goes from this to this and you want to hook them into playing the game and they look at current state of 9th edition and the rules and the codexes, they go, I'm not fucking playing that. I'd rather just play Warhammer Monopoly.
But would you want that huge injection of people into what is your lovely
No, so...
Because then other corporations get hold of it, and then they start to turn it into.
No. Do you
just call me dude?
No, I was about to say do. Do other corporations get hold of it? Absolutely not, because it's Games Workshop's IP. Other corporations can't get hold of it unless Games Workshop let them. So Games Workshop have to license other people to let them get hold of it.
So
in terms of the influx of players, I would encourage anybody out there to never gatekeep the hobby. Never shut the doors and say, we don't want you. This is our little space. There's bollocks. The more players...
Here you go, you beggar.
Thank you, Smurvin. The more players we have in the game, the better it is for everybody involved.
But have you ever had that thing where you make a cool game with your mate,
No.
and then... and then other people want to play?
Has Luce seen the new cinematic yet?
86... hang on, 86... 88... 88... I don't think she has. She probably listened to it about...
The only thing that is pissing me off is lack of roadmap. Why can't we get a set of possible dates all the new ST is released?
Yeah, I think a roadmap would be... Now they might as well put it out for 10th, to be honest with you.
So my question is, not about...
Do you think GW will ever hire more rules writers and testers so we can get codexes before what feels like the heat death of the universe sometimes?
So, Kit, I don't think you will. And I don't think that's because of the number of people that are writing rules for them. I think that's simply because of a marketing strategy, if I'm honest. Thank you, everybody who's been gifting. So before Luce asks her question that she's desperately trying to get out, thank you, Carl. Thank you, Rosanero, for 10, you legends. Thank you, Smarvin. Thank you, Sheep Avenger, for another 5. Thank you, Kianan, for 1. Thank you, Dan Skippy, for 1. Thank you, Nick, for 1. You people are all amazing. Luce, go. Do I ever think...
Do you think that if loads and loads of people start playing Warhammer, it will have to change, and then it kind of goes down the path of not being the thing that you love anymore?
So that's the thing that would make it a negative.
So not necessarily corporations getting hold of it, but Warhammer have to change it, and then it's not what it was.
So that would be a negative. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think that will happen, because the thing that makes Warhammer can't change because then it's not Warhammer, right?
Yeah.
So that's not something that concerns me. I don't think that's a problem.
Because so you said you didn't have any friends a moment ago, and that's really sad. So have you ever had a friend where you've made a game?
I didn't say I didn't have any friends. I said I hadn't made a game with friends.
And then you've had to change the game to be inclusive, and then you've kind of been like, I've ruined my own fucking game now because I made it too cool, and now everybody wants to play it, and I've had to change it, and now it's not the thing I want to play, and it's now off on its own momentum, and now I don't want to play it. And I'm investing too much into it, so I have to play it, but I don't want to play it.
No, I don't think I've ever had that experience, or I know anyone had that experience. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about them softening it too much. So 40K, the 41st Millennium, the game that we love, is based on the grim, dark future, right? It's supposed to be grim, it's supposed to be dark. So if they don't make it grim and dark, if they make it pink and fluffy and they make it woke, I think they kill their franchise. If they kill their franchise...
GW has a fantastic business model, constantly releasing and re-releasing rules and models to predominantly the same audience. I think they're very much a company that focuses on getting more money from existing customers.
Yeah, I think that's something that they have done for ages, and I think potentially that what they're doing at the moment, James, is possibly going to open the doors to new people, which is where I've said for the longest time they need to start focusing. There's only so much they can bleed their current audience dry. I do feel like they need to open the doors to new people. Now, there is a concern. Like people in chat talking about Disney and Star Wars, right? There's a balance between inclusivity and going over left and over woke with it, right? And I think that because of the setting of 40k,
Liam's got plenty of friends. They're plastic and pretty.
they're you, Nick. They're you. Thanks for the donation. So because of the grim darkness because of what I think attracts a lot of us to 40k, I feel like they can't get rid of that. Because if they do that, they kill their own franchise. They will literally destroy their own franchise. If 40k starts going pink and fluffy and soft and super woke all the time, then they just destroy their franchise. They have an incredible sandbox, okay? They have an incredible sandbox because it's the 41st millennium. So they can do anything they want, and it doesn't necessarily have to be considered woke. And it's their own IP, their own intellectual property. That's the words I was looking for. So they can do anything they want with the narrative. They keep it grim and dark, keep it brutal, and they think that they win. I don't think that's a problem. So in that regards, if they could wildly oversimplify the rules, that's not a huge problem. It's a bit of a problem for me. I like a little bit of complexity in there. When they said the other week, simplified, not simple, I was like, that's where they need to be. That's perfect. But I feel like if they oversimplify it, they don't have an audience either. There's a potential with what they've announced for 10th edition. I think there's a potential they might have actually hit the sweet spot. And I watched the Tabletop Tactics live stream last Thursday morning, and Katie said, I think we could be moving into the golden age. And I actually agree with her. I actually think she's right. I think we could be moving into the golden age now, because if the rules have been brought down to a level which is accessible for new people without being so simple it kills it for old people, that's perfect.
So Casper says it's just a matter of time before Disney gets a hand on it.
I actually don't. Well, it depends. The Amazon deal will be interesting. I don't think it's big enough for Disney right now.
I think it would be interesting to watch if loads of people do come to the hobby, if the grimdark does bend.
I will say
that will be interesting.
If Disney lent their studio power to a Warhammer movie.
Tomorrow is opening day for baseball here in the US. While you are playing Garage Hammer tomorrow, I will be watching baseball games. Here's me buying you a ballpark beer tomorrow. P.S. Luce, keep asking all the questions.
Thank you so much, Neil. You're a hero. So if Disney was to lend their studio power to make a true grimdark film, that would be incredible. If Disney Star Wars 40k, not so grimdark, that would be bad.
But if they Toy Storied it.
If they Toy Storied it, I'm all in.
We're all in.
We're all in. Okay. Right, we got some gifts in their chat as well. You guys are legends. So I got Dan Skip and I got Nick. Thank you so much.
Building Death Watch right now, so 10th can't come quick enough.
Mikey, firstly, mate, thank you for your first ever super chat. Claps in chat for Mikey's first super chat. You're a legend. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. But yeah, Death Watch aren't in a great place right now, right? Slam Sector, thank you for the 20 gifted, and I think you've already gifted 10 as well. You legend. What a fucking hero. Cody, thanks for the 5 as well. You guys are amazing. Harjinder Singh says, story and narrative over shoehorning politics into the IP. You can make things inclusive and still respect the established law. I completely agree with you, right? There's a few things. I've heard this phrase before, which I actually semi-believe. Go woke or go broke. Or go woke, go broke it is, right? Not go woke or go broke. That's the wrong way around. Go woke, go broke. 40k can be completely inclusive and still be grim, dark and terrifying. It can be. Because it's a narrative sandbox. They can do anything they want with it. There is no reason why they can't have both. It doesn't need to be one or the other with 40k. That's the thing. I can't stress this enough. It doesn't need to be one or the other. It can literally be both because it's a narrative. It's not based on anything factual. This doesn't exist in the real world. They can do what they want. So I think the Amazon thing is exciting. I would be interested to know if they have maybe gone, hey, we should probably make this more inclusive and accessible to new people before that goes live, because then when people come and look at what it is, they're not instantly frightened away by the rules. That's a positive. I think that's really good.
Loose, it won't bring in a huge influx of people because clipping and trimming and assembling will kill off a lot of that. It's bloody hard work.
You're so right as well.
Yeah, I think I threw an orc across the room.
You have to have the blood, gore, sex and violence. Disney would make it off-screen deaths and bloodless bolt-round hits, vomiting face.
But I think the thing is with Disney, right? I think 40k as an established narrative already is too far that way for them to ever look at touching it, if I'm honest with you. Star Wars, if you look at the old films from years ago, there was no blood and gore in it, really. There wasn't, right? It just didn't exist. So it wasn't impossible for Disney to grab that.
Pull your finger out and update the member goal.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
The mouth.
How many more? There's another 25. You've done it, haven't you already, chap?
Didn't Disney release a Warhammer 40k movie a couple of years ago? About the Space Marine Buzz Lightyear.
He was a lovely Space Marine as well. One of a kind.
Touche. A lot of people forget Disney owns other studios that could absolutely do grimdark under a different label. Yeah, they could 100% Slam Sector. Absolutely.
I wonder if that would be the way around, because Disney's so associated with Pink and Fluffy. Would they get one of their other studios? Because you can't really have a gun go off and in the background you hear, "You got a friend."
Sleepy Skeleton's nailed it. So I actually agree with you, Sleepy Skeleton. Right, with Games Workshop's profits, I don't see them selling. No, and I think that's only going to go from strength to strength. What's their share price doing right now?
I'm just interested if there is this huge injection of people, if they do bend the grim dark to be. I
honestly can't. I can't see it
to reach all the corners of.
What do we think, chat? What do we think? Do we think Games Workshop removes the grim dark to try and be more inclusive? Because I feel like that's part of what makes Games Workshop. Or sorry, makes 40k 40k is the right way of saying that. What makes 40k 40k is the fact that they are that grim and dark. Like, I feel like that's part of it. I don't think that they could get away with not being grimdark. What do you think? Slam Six says, we did it, chat. Shall I set you a new goal? 1,500 by Friday.
No, stop it.
Challenge chat. It's like Challenge Annika. That's come back. We'll bring out Challenge chat.
Is that Annika Rice? Yeah, I think that's it. Her last name's Rice.
I'm going to say yes.
Rice. I think it is. That sounds right.
Ruby says they can't. Weird Puppy says, nah, not. Magic Jarek says not Disney. Market value close to 3 billion. Yeah, exactly. They can't. No, I don't think they can. Inclusive, says John. Bolter rounds for everyone. If they remove the grimdark, they're done. Completely agree. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they can. I think it's not something we have to worry about because I just don't think they can. And I think they know that. I think they know if they actually completely removed it, they just kill their whole franchise. They need to stay true. Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I have not ever done a Henry Cavill clickbait title or thumbnail, because I'm not a fucking idiot. It's one of the reasons why, however, I'm excited that he's got his hands on it. I don't know much about Cavill. I haven't watched any of his stuff really, but I do know that he's a 40k fan supposedly. And I also know that supposedly one of the reasons why he left The Witcher was because they were coming away from the original narrative and the original lore. If that's the case, if that is in fact true, and that isn't just gossip and hearsay, I'm actually excited that he's got his hands on it, because it means logically we all have an actual true to lore 40k.
The Emperor cares not who you like to kiss, only that you grant the kiss of death to his enemies.
Absolutely, Nick. Absolutely. So if that's all true, the fact that he might force it to stay true to its narrative is what excites me. Right?
Left Star Wars because of Disney, and with that found the grimdark future of 40k and fell in love with the lore and miniature range that comes with 40k.
There is a... Do you know what, right? I've been told that the latest Batman film, I think it is actually pretty grimdark as well. I haven't seen it and I want to because it's pretty savage, supposedly. If Star Wars went full grimdark, I'd be significantly more excited for it. Like, I don't... Yeah. We want...
Disney did Prey a gory predator film. It's awesome.
Did Prey a gory predator film? What's that one? Or is she ninja you there on autocorrect? If Disney takes over, who's going to be the Disney princess? Talk, Joe.
The narrative is a massive draw for many. We can have the space Nazis on the table whilst welcoming everyone to the table, except real Nazis.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like the Disney princess for 40k would be Joe.
Sleepy Skellen says, Haven't they tried it with the young readers books?
How did they do that? I don't feel like they did well, did they?
I don't know anyone that has bought one. Or oh no, wait, someone in chat, someone in our Discord said their kids are reading them and they really enjoy them. But that's the only person I know that's bought the young reader books.
Disney also made Andor, which is dark as hell for Star Wars. I've not seen that yet. I kind of haven't really watched Star Wars for a while. The Batman was grim, dark, and ended on a note of hope, and it worked very well. So I need to watch this. Next date night, new Batman film, grim, dark, and carnage.
Batman?
Yeah.
Who is it that's Batman?
He's the one in the black suit.
Obviously, knobhead. Is it Christian Bale?
I don't know the actor's names.
You need to get me the name of the guy who's dressing up as Batman with the pecs and the six pack, and then I'll think about it. I'll think about it. Might be washing my hair though.
Fine.
There is a Star Wars series that was recommended.
The people at LucasArts Studios would obliterate the market with high-quality films / trailers and series. Star Wars: The Old Republic is an example.
I don't know. I feel like at the moment I'm kind of happier that Amazon have got a hold of it. Big budget company, probably a little more likely to let them be closer to the original narrative, to the grimdark narrative. I feel like Robert Pattinson.
Is he the guy from Twilight?
I don't know. That's cyanide. He's gone. Bob Pat. That's his name. Bob Pat. Robert Pattinson. Bob Pat. Perfect. It's the bloody vampire from Twilight, for fuck's sake, says Greenbloods. There you go. I mean there we go. I support Batman. It was dark. Yeah, I want that. So I want to go watch that. Weird puppy with Khan singing "Let It Go, Let It Go," let all of that blood flow. Brilliant. That's the one that I want, right? That's the one I want. Anyway, thank you everybody who's donated, super chatted, and gifted memberships. You're amazing. We're at 77 gifted memberships right now. Well, gifted and new members, right? We're just 23 away from 100 tonight. Vouchers are off right now. Temporary pause at the moment as I decide what I'm going to do with them. But we're still 23 away from 100. You hit 100 in the night chat? Amazon screwed The Lord of the Rings. Yeah, okay. All right, okay. Granted, they did. I couldn't watch that. I couldn't watch Rings of Power. I'm a Lord of the Rings nut. I really want to watch it. And I've tried like 3 times. I do recommend Andor. It was legit. Okay, I need to sit through that.
Is Andor the Star Wars series that was made with an adult audience in mind?
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
Mandalorian's kind of...
Yeah, I believe so. Amazon did The Boys, which is incredibly dark, so I have high hopes for Amazon greenlighting a very dark series. I'm hopeful, although people have just said they murdered all the rings. They did murder all the rings as well. So, but that might not be Amazon specifically, right? Come on, let's hold hope. Let's hold hope, chat. You know. I'll be alright.
It's not that it's grimdark that the hobby is not growing. It's the rules and it's expensive to get into for the average Joe.
Yeah. So you're right on both. So I think we're solving the rules issue. I think what we're not going to solve anytime soon for 40k is the expense issue. Although Combat Patrol being an entry point could solve some of that problem, potentially. Maybe. If they do that well and elegantly, right, then that could solve the barrier to entry issue. You buy a Combat Patrol box, you build and paint that, and you play with that box only. I feel like they solve some of the barrier to entry and cost. If you want to start playing 2,000 points, that barrier still exists, but they're making it a stepping stone rather than leaping off a cliff, which I think is an important distinction to make. Like, they're layering it. Boarding actions, Combat Patrol, full-blown 40k, all the same sort of rules, but a layered way into it. So it doesn't feel like you go, I need 2,000 points. Shopping cart, bang. Fucking how much? Like I feel like if you go, okay, I can play boarding actions, I need 1 box perhaps. Or I could play Combat Patrol, which is a £95 box from Games or a £90 box from Games Workshop. But that's all I need and I can play.
See, for me, £90, like if one of our boys said, this 1 box is £90, I'm straight away like, oh.
Yeah, but nowadays there's certain.
It's not £90.
The Imperium needs to go back to being owner of the bad guys again.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. But the thing is,
it's not £90 because you've got the paints, the paintbrushes, the stuff you stick on the bases,
Amazon fantasy stuff is rubbish, but they also did The Expanse, which is the best sci-fi series since the Battlestar reboot.
Interesting. I am hopeful as well. Harjinder says they butchered Lord of the Rings. Don't watch it. They just use the visuals of the Lord of the Rings to tell their own made-up story. Yeah, that's a shame. I won't watch it then. Fine. So you're right. I agree. But a lot of that stuff is one-off purchases, or you purchase it once for multiple uses. So, but I get it. You do need it in the first instance. But if you look at it now, there's a lot of AAA games that are coming out 70, 80, 90 pounds.
What's a AAA?
Top titles.
Oh, okay.
Big Call of Duty stuff. If you bought Modern Warfare 2 as the actual game, it was like 70 quid or something to buy the game, right? It's not that far off.
Oh my
considering
God.
Considering you still need a PlayStation, an Xbox, or a PC to play it.
Yeah.
So
it's not
too dissimilar.
Game.
Really? Right? Underwhelming as a fantasy series. That's a shame. I was so angry about Rings of Power. Even the music was shit. It's a synths. Don't know why they dumped the whole money. Oh, that's a shame.
But does a PlayStation game, once you've bought it, does it update itself? You don't have to pay for an update?
Yes and no.
Part of why Amazon butchered Rings of Power is that they didn't have license for the whole IP and needed to leave out much and fill out much on their own.
Didn't know that. Interesting. They shouldn't have gone half in then, should they? So, yes and no. So, some games will update for free. Some games will sell you, as you've seen, because our children have games, additional content that's behind a paywall.
Yeah. But sometimes you can get a console secondhand for free if a family member doesn't want it, or for kind of cheap on places like Facebook. But if you get hold of a secondhand army, I wonder how many people would just rather go for a new army because the work it would take. I
think considering the way I've seen people treat consoles, quite often I wouldn't go for a second-hand one if I had I don't have a console. I mean, the kids have got consoles, but they've not got a new one. They don't have a new Xbox or a new PlayStation because they're insanely expensive. Like a new PlayStation is somewhere in the regions of between, I think, £350 and £500.
And also, they've not been down the mine yet. They've not earned a new
console. They have not earned their new console, no, until they come back covered in soot. I have no interest in, until I see him.
No to the chimney, it's the mine.
Until I see him on Christmas Eve on the neighbour's roof with a chimney sweep, I'm not fucking buying him a PlayStation 5. Facts, right? He'll earn his way in this world, chat. COD comes out yearly too, yeah, exactly. So £60-70 for a new game. That game comes out yearly. Typically a gamer isn't going to own one game. He's going to buy multiple games. So let's say a game, okay. Let's say a gamer buys 4 games a year. Reasonable, one every 3 months.
Okay.
And let's call it the lower end of the scale nowadays at £60.
Okay.
So £240 a year on games, which is probably cheaper than 40k to be fair, but they would need a £500 console to play it.
Do these games update for free?
It depends what game he's bought.
Can you play an old COD game on a new COD? Like, you know how platforms and everything have changed now, and you can.
I don't know. So on my computer, I can play the old versions. Yes.
Amazon won't spend LOTR money on a 40k series, so less need to smooth the edges. The danger isn't it being too woke, it's them making a cheesy narrative.
Yeah, do you know what? I mean, cheesy narrative is one of those things, right? I've always, and I've said this before, Emil, I've always seen the Imperium, for example, as the bad guys, the ruthless nature of the High Lords of Terror and the Imperium in general. Space Marines shouldn't be these big, noble, knightly kind of characters with these handsome faces and blonde hair. Space Marines are literally genetically engineered killing machines, and I want to see them being genetically engineered killing machines. Why was Astarte so popular on YouTube? Because Space Marines were fucking ruthless, and they just murdered everything that worried them. Like anything that that's the narrative they need to go for, right? They don't need a cheesy, we're all friends here. No, they don't want that. None of that nonsense. That's not what should be. No. That's not what should be happening. Okay. You can buy 240 games on Steam sales every year. You could, yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. But there's also here's the other thing. Here's another way that the games industry has moved where Games Workshop hasn't. And I get the fact that a digital product's easy to do this with. But the games industry has lent hard into the subscription series. Xbox Game Pass, EA's whatever it is annual pass, PlayStation Store passes. They now offer you annual or monthly subscriptions.
What would the subscription model be for 40k then?
So they kind of started it with some of the magazines.
Responsible hobby spending with Liam Dempsey.
Never responsible.
I don't think I've ever been called that. Tim, thank you for the attention seeking. You're a legend. Thank you for the gifted membership. I love you dearly. You're a hero. So I feel like the closest they've came to it so far is the Imperium magazine or the like.
40k has a big buy-in, but value over time is huge.
It is massive. Where you would buy it is massive. Where you would buy a magazine and you would slowly but surely collect a whole army just by buying a magazine. But I feel like they didn't quite get it right.
How many magazines do you have to buy?
Like a year and a half's worth, and they were weekly at about £7 a time.
Ooh.
And I don't, that's me remembering roughly. Someone in chat could probably give me the actual numbers.
That's a kid's magazine.
The second-hand model market isn't bad loose. You can buy them painted and based, and it's not marked up by too much. Exa Forge World Night, that's $665, was on Troll Trader for $425, assembled and painted.
You can get some real bargains in the second-hand market for 40k, but you can also buy some absolute shite. And sometimes you have to be careful with some of the Forge World stuff that people are selling, that it might not even be, you might not be buying a genuine one. So it actually might be worth even less than that. You have to be careful with that one as well.
3D printed.
It could be a recast or something, yes. So yeah, I can't remember. 80 magazines, says Graham. So what's 80 magazines? It's nearly 2 years, and they were $8.99 each. There we go. I wasn't far off. So £9 an edition. £9 an edition, 90 issues, £9, right? So 810 quid. Mm-hmm. And it was a weekly subscription.
And you still had to buy your paints, or did you get those?
I think you got some paints in the magazine. But £9, 90 weeks, 810 quid, right, roughly.
So if you got the paints and the paintbrushes in magazine 1, because usually with this, like when you do a knitting magazine, you get the needles, blah, 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 all of that.
Blah, blah, blah,
blah,
blah,
blah, blah.
Don't make that noise too much, they'll clip it.
If all you have to do is buy the magazine and that's it, then actually I think I would pay the £7 for the boys to do a magazine.
£9.
Sorry, the £9.
But it's weekly.
But if all I have to do is buy the magazine.
But it's weekly, so roughly we're talking £36 a month,
yeah,
roughly.
I think I would consider it.
And you'd be doing that for both boys. So you're now talking £70 to £80 a month.
I mean, they've got to go down the chimney and the mine, but
at the same time.
It's the if that gets them off a screen or away from something that I would not like them near.
To be clear, I think that it was a good idea. And I think it was done well. And I think they should do more of it, right? I think it was a good idea. Genuinely.
Yeah.
But to charge £9 a week is where they maybe got it slightly wrong.
So, say if it was Space Marines, how many Space Marines do you get in one of the little boxes?
What do you mean little boxes?
Like one of those little boxes. Do you get like 5 or?
What, like I need to be careful what I grab now.
The one that.
A Space Marine size box.
A Space Marine size box.
Has 10 models in normally.
And how much is that? 35?
30. It depends, but yes. Somewhere between 35 and 50.
So, okay, 50. And you get how many again?
10. Blade Guard, okay.
But if you get the paintbrushes and the paint.
Blade Guard are 3 for 35.
Okay.
Intercessors are £37.50 for 10.
So you get a whole army at the end of this 18 months magazine?
Oh, you get 2 armies, I think. You got Necrons and Space Marines. But £800.
And if they stuck with it 18 months and then they get to play with it?
No, I don't think the value's... So I don't think the value's bad. I think the value was really, really good. It was just the frequency in which they're taking the money from you. So the value of the value of Imperial Magazine's good.
But then I wouldn't... If you're getting 2 armies, then maybe I wouldn't pay for both boys. Because you're getting 2 armies.
Okay, yeah. But then you're hoping that one of them wants to play Space Marines and one of them wants to play...
I'm not hoping it would be. Or one of you is playing and the other one is.
Which army do you want? You want Space Marines. Okay, which army do you want? You want Orcs? Tough, you've got Necrons.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, which one's the favourite? You can pick first.
Chimney or mine? You can't, no.
Yeah.
This is it.
You want to go up
get
or
what
down?
you get.
Up or down? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, people are saying, by the way, that you get the paints in there as well.
Yeah.
You get the paintbrushes, the glue, the snips, and some scenery.
Snips as well.
And scenery as well, apparently.
Oh, this is actually...
So it's not that bad.
So 2 armies plus everything. All you have to do is buy the magazine.
Most priceless moment in all of your streams.
Fuck off, Chris. We're skipping through that and unlisting the stream straight after. You get £1,250 of the models and stuff for £700. Yeah, well, I mean, again, the value is incredible. Like I'm not questioning the value of Imperium, and I think subscription models are the future for Warhammer. I'm not questioning. I say for Warhammer, just in general. I'm not questioning the value, chat. I do not have a problem with how much you get and what you pay for it in something like Imperium Magazine. You can argue the same for boarding patrol boxes, for combat patrol boxes, etc., etc., etc. You can argue the same for all of those things, right? They're good value. The problem I had with Imperium Magazine was £9 a week every week is a lot to ask. Do you not think?
No, not today. In today's money, I think, because it's a completely... You can't compare anymore. So the magazines that probably we had as kids...
I don't know. I think... I just struggle with it. If you're, I think 36 to 45 quid a month, because it's a 4 or 5 week month typically,
yeah,
is a lot to spend every single month. And the risk is, Chris, thank you for the whatever that was, heart, lovely. And the risk is if you like, what if you can't hit a week and you miss a week and you've got to go find the edition?
But you have a GW shop in town, so you can go in there for free.
I didn't like that band, quite honestly talk. Thanks for the donation.
You have a GW shop you can go into, so you can take your model in. There's networks of people to play with. I'm sure there's a kids. Well, there is a kids club in Southampton.
£9 is for the premium version, £2 less for the normal one, and you get both Imperial and Necrons and paints and some brushes and clippers.
So what was the difference then? What did you get for the extra £2?
The Imperium magazine in the US is about $13 to $14 per issue. You them quarterly, but as an example, I got a trash store for $46.75 in 2 issues worth. It's 4 armies. You get Sisters, Space Marines,
yeah, see?
AdMech, Necron.
So some of the editions, you got half of a model in one and then half of a model in the other. So you had to buy both.
Okay. Yeah, that's a bit... So
which, I mean, they can't put a £30 or £40 Dreadnought in one edition, so I get them splitting it up. But if you had, that means you have to buy both. And granted, at £18, you're still then paying a lot less than it would cost you to buy the full model. I don't know. Like, I think it was a very good idea, and I think it was very well done. I looked at it at night because I was like, I'll do it. I'm going to do this for content. I'm going to buy the magazine. I'm going to buy all the magazines. I'm going to get all the models and be like, hey, look what you get for subscribing to Imperium magazine. And I just thought it was flat 9. I saw £9 a month and was like, oh fuck, that's a lot. That's a big commitment. I don't want to.
But I think if anyone who has a kid or kids, if you think of what you're happily spending on them today and how things, you just can't compare it now. Magazines that we had when we were kids, even TV shows are different. How often you got new trainers, how often you got new uniform, everything is different. So £9.
Premium version comes with binders to hold your magazines, also Tyranids, Tau, Orcs, Pigs.
Yeah, okay, so that's a lot more you get for extra £2 quid.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like, we've already talked about AAA games being minimum £60 now, and I used to be able to buy them for a lot less than that, like half the price. I mean, I think a new PlayStation game for me was somewhere between 30 or 40 quid, and I don't feel like a £20 increase over the course of the last, what is probably near 20 years, is that bad on a grand scheme.
So I would be like, how much? Because I see it as a box and they're just in front of a screen. So I'm immediately like, how much?
I see the same box and I see them in front of the same screen. Quiet.
They're not quiet.
It's worth the money.
Orcs, Nids, Tau, Chaos, Space Marines. 15 minis each-ish.
I found my magazines in the woods. That's the milk point. I don't think we're talking about the same magazines. I think we're talking about different magazines. Right. Anyway, you beautiful people. I would 100% buy the mad sub for my kids. Okay, the mag sub for my kids. Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
I think I would. If they genuinely showed an interest and I really got the impression they were going to stick it out, because subscriptions like that used to be a nightmare to cancel.
I mean, I don't know. I think you could actually subscribe to it and have it turn up weekly, but I think you could actually go and buy it from newsagents and stuff as well.
I'd want to go to the newsagent, have the whole excited go
so
to the
old.
newsagent. I know.
You're so old.
I know.
The magazines were GW though. It was Hatchet.
Hatchet was the one that did the subscription. I remember subscribing to it immediately and then realising it was £9 a month and trying to cancel it, and cancelling was a fucking nightmare. And I eventually got it cancelled, but meh. Anyway, it is time for us to come to an end on our first stream back this week. So sorry we missed yesterday. Thank you everybody for coming and hanging out with us tonight. 78 new members tonight. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Everybody make sure you get yourself in Discord, !Discord in the chat for a link. If you do go into Discord and you can't see anything, it's because you haven't linked your YouTube account to your Discord account, because it doesn't unlock the full server until it recognises that you're a member of the Great Hall. As soon as it realises that you've got a membership, it will unlock everything. There is a guide in there as well that you can see even if you're not a member, so please make sure you get yourself in the Great Hall server. Hit that like button if you haven't already, but now the second moment you've all been waiting for. It's Lucy's Fact of the Night.
You lose up to 30% of your taste buds during an aeroplane flight.
What are you licking?
Did you lose your taste buds when you went to Canada or
Yeah,
Gibraltar or...
the food's not hot enough to lose any of my taste. I don't. How do you lose? How do you lose 30% of your taste buds?
Do you regain it? Did you suddenly wake up and go, I taste everything today?
I'm going to call that one bollocks.
How many flights have you had in your life?
A lot.
So you have no taste.
Unless
You
they
taste
do,
nothing.
They must be like a Necron. Taste buds must actually regenerate. Captain Merrin's loose fact better not be bad. Let's wait to see his reaction. I don't feel like. Are you licking the window? Says Ben. I'm not sure. I've definitely eaten that meal on a plane, says Gaz. Oh dear, brilliant. I think that's a false fact. Liz.
I'm going to quickly Google, because otherwise, if you're a frequent flyer...
Kit says he's got a smooth tongue now.
Do you?
An upcoming issue is going to have Robute Guruman a $50 model for $14.
Is it? What did you say? An upcoming issue is going to have a booty gun and $50 a month for $14. That's not bad, is it? To be fair.
Oh, it's true.
I did tell my wife I am buying it for the twins.
Fair.
Grimacing face.
Fair. Lou says it's true. I think it's nonsense.
The higher you fly, the less you can taste.
Yes.
Once peak altitude is reached, it's goodbye temporarily to our taste buds, as the dry air combined with the cabin pressure change reduces taste bud sensitivity. At high altitudes, we lose no less than 30% of our normal perception of saltiness and sweetness.
I don't believe it. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Get excited about 7:30 tomorrow night, because someone returns. Do you know who returns tomorrow?
Our national treasure.
Joe.
Oh!
That's Joe. Joe returns tomorrow. He is a national treasure. Mm-hmm. Someone else returns tomorrow.
The orange national treasure.
Another big character in 40k. The orange national treasure. Poor old Eddie. Eddie is back tomorrow night on the channel at 7:30. I think he's bringing his Necrons with the Static King. So look forward to that. Come and join us tomorrow night, 7:30, to watch Necrons versus something. I don't yet know if I or Joe am playing him. I'll see what kind of mood Joe's in at lunchtime when he turns up. Otherwise, we'll be back at 9:30 on Friday night for 40k After Dark. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you in the next one.